Before the world wakes up, before the airports start to roar, there is a quiet moment when a pilot steps out of his home and into a life that most people will never fully understand. Today, we follow one pilot on a day that will stretch across 5 flights, 3 states, multiple plane swaps, and nearly 14 hours of non-stop movement. This is a day in the life of an airline pilot, a day that begins in calm silence and ends somewhere far from home. Like, subscribe, and let's step into the cockpit. The commute, where the day really begins. Every great journey begins long before the engines start. For pilots, the day begins on the ground. Quiet, ordinary, deceptively normal. Our pilot leaves his home with a backpack, a uniform, and a strict timeline. He knows the rule: give yourself time. Always give yourself more time than you think you need. Because in aviation, the smallest delay on the ground can turn into chaos in the sky. He grabs the bus, rides to the Blue Line station, 1 hour and 15 minutes, built-in buffers, because pilots don't gamble with time. From door to gate, the journey takes nearly 2 hours. 2 hours before he even touches the aircraft. It's the first reminder of the day being a pilot isn't glamorous. It's disciplined, precise, unforgiving. The flight plan: 5 legs, 4 states, 1 very long day. Today isn't an ordinary day. It's a marathon. 5 flights, 14 working hours, 3 different routes. 1 overnight in Dubuque, Iowa, a town our pilot has never visited, never planned to, and might never see again. This is the life of a regional airline pilot. Not the exotic beaches you see in movies, but constant movement between cities you've only heard of in weather reports. The first leg, Chicago to Appleton, Wisconsin, then a deadhead back to Chicago, meaning the airline places the pilots in a passenger seat to move them where they're needed next. From Chicago, it's down to Lexington, Kentucky, back to Chicago again. And finally, when exhaustion begins to settle into the bones, when the body asks for rest, one final night flight to Dubuque. A small airport, a colder climate, a short sleep waiting at the end. The first takeoff. Appleton, Wisconsin. The engines roar and the world drops away. The sky is gray today, the clouds hanging lower than anyone likes. Ceilings are low, visibility is tight, but pilots don't fear weather. They respect it. They calculate. They adapt. They rely on training that was drilled into them long before they ever touched a real cockpit. When the wheels kiss the Appleton runway, it's a quiet triumph. A reminder, every successful landing is earned. But the moment they arrive, the clock starts again. There's no time to rest. They're deadheading right back to Chicago. Deadheading. Traveling as a ghost. Deadheading feels strange. You're in uniform, but you're just sitting. A passenger in the machine you usually control. People walk past you without knowing you'll be the one responsible for their safety on your next flight. They don't know you've already been in the air, already landed once today, and have hours left before you can close your eyes. It's a reminder, airline pilots aren't superheroes. They're humans doing a job where mistakes are not allowed. The flight touches down in Chicago. The day moves forward. Plane swap. The hidden part of a pilot's day. The next aircraft waits, but it isn't the same one. Most passengers never think about what happens between flights. But for pilots, this is where the work truly begins. Open the flight deck. Unpack, repack, configure the cockpit. Run checklists. 10 different checklists for each flight. 40 checklists in a day like this. Over and over, again and again. Because consistency is what keeps the skies safe. You don't skip steps. You don't rush the process. Flying is not about speed. It's about precision. The aircraft becomes familiar in seconds. Switches, screens, flaps, radios, all checked, all cross-checked. 2 pilots scanning the same instruments, verifying the same data, breathing the same dry, pressurized air inside the cockpit. Then, another takeoff, another climb. Destination, Lexington, Kentucky. Lexington, a rare moment of calm. Luck is on their side. The weather behaves. The flight arrives 30 minutes early. For the first time today, time slows down. Our pilot steps off the aircraft into the Lexington terminal. He has 1 full hour before the next departure. 1 hour to breathe. But a pilot's rest is strategic, not leisurely. He checks the next briefing, prepares mentally for the remaining flights, calculates fuel, weather, timing, runway conditions. Then he eats. Because the last flight of the night will land late in Dubuque, and eating right before sleep, pilots know better. Dinner becomes fuel, not comfort. A part of the job. Then back to the gate, back to the cockpit, back into the rhythm of the skies. The final flight, where exhaustion meets responsibility. It's 8:30 p.m. His sign-in was at 10:50 a.m. Almost 10 hours have passed, and still, one final flight remains. Chicago to Dubuque. The crew is tired. The layover is short. The night outside is cold, black, and unforgiving. But the passengers boarding that small regional jet don't know any of this. They don't know the pilot has already flown several hundred miles today. They don't know about the checklists, the rush, the pressure, the relentless schedule. All they know is that they want to get home safely. And so, the pilot focuses. The world narrows to gauges, lights, radar echoes, and the glow of the runway edges. Night flights demand a different kind of awareness. The sky is silent. The cockpit lights are low. The hum of the instruments feels louder than usual. As the aircraft descends over the dark Midwest, wind pushing against its body, the pilot prepares for the final landing of the day. The arrival, a quiet end to a loud day. When the wheels finally touch the icy runway of Dubuque, it is not triumph. It is relief. A long, cold walk across the tarmac follows. The wind bites. Exhaustion sets in. The adrenaline fades. Our pilot pulls his coat tighter. He is no longer the voice on the radio, no longer the calm presence in the cockpit. He is just a human being, tired and ready to sleep. The hotel room waits. Small, quiet, a temporary home in a town he's never heard of. This is the part the world never sees. The loneliness, the constant movement, the nights spent far from family, from comfort, from anything familiar. But you'll never hear a pilot complain. Because at the end of the day, the job isn't about the uniform, the status, or the aircraft. It's about moving people safely from one place to another, no matter how many flights it takes, no matter how far the journey goes. The truth about being a pilot. Most people think pilots live a glamorous life, traveling to exotic places, flying sleek jets, living on adrenaline and adventure. But the truth is far more human. It's early mornings, long commutes, and tight schedules. It's repetition, discipline, and absolute focus. It's stepping into unfamiliar towns long after the sun has disappeared. It's sleeping in silence after a day spent above the clouds. Being a pilot is not about the fantasy. It's about responsibility, about professionalism, about dedication to the lives behind you in the cabin. And when the day ends in a quiet hotel room somewhere in the Midwest, far from home, far from comfort, the pilot sleeps with one simple truth. Tomorrow, it begins again. If you enjoyed this journey through the life behind the cockpit, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss the stories hidden in the skies. No glamour, no filters, just real aviation. One long, exhausting, beautiful day at a time.